year 2020 of the Oconee County Public Library Board of Trustees is called to order. How's everybody this evening? Good. Okay. Well, has everybody had the opportunity to read the minutes?
Yes.
Yes? Yeah?
Yes, I'd like to move that we approve the minutes.
I second. Okay, great. All in favor say aye.
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 Okay. There are people on the phone, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and I need them to state their name when they vote, please.
Okay. How did they vote?
I agree. This
Oh,
is
okay.
Lisa.
And if you'd say your name when you vote, that's also a requirement, I guess. Okay, so the next thing is public comments. Do we have any public comments?
We did not have anybody asked to make a comment.
Okay. Then we have the Friends Report, which is in our packet of papers. I think it was further. I thought I saw one further towards the back. There was one, wasn't there? A Friends Report?
I can just tell you very quickly, of course, with the pandemic and the library being closed, we did not have a sale in March. Well, they had one in March right before we closed, and then there was no sale. We missed a sale and a Saturday sale in April. We've missed the May sale. There will not be a sale in June. There's discussions right now as to whether they will have one in July, obviously depending on the library being open and what hours and things, but there's a discussion for them to have one in July, but we did miss the 2 April, regular and Saturday, May, and June so far. And they have not been down in the basement store since we closed.
Yeah, well, that makes a lot of sense, you know.
So they, like I said, they're still trying to determine, in conjunction with when the library opens, but also when they feel safe, whether there'll be a July sale or not. Other than that, they have not been able to do any work days or anything like that down in the basement. So other than, the one activity that they are involved in right now, they are trying to raise some money for, a memorial for Betty DeBow. She was the former librarian at the Seneca Library for a long time, recently passed away. And they want to come up with a memorial to her in conjunction with the Wayne and Pauline Thrift Family Foundation, which they will match. And the goal is to get a new customer service desk for the Seneca Library. So that's what they're currently trying to get money for, collecting donations, memorials for Betty DeBow. That's currently what they're working on.
Excellent. Okay, well, someday all this will be past us, and then the Friends will probably have the biggest book sale ever seen in Oconee County. And may that day be not far away. Okay, then we have committee reports, but we pretty much have not been
We sort of suspended the committees until such time as we have projects again that warrant building projects and capital projects and things that warrant needing to have special committees. We sort of suspended those.
Okay, and the chairman's report, I don't really have anything to report on. So over to you, Blair.
Okay, for the director's report, and I'll keep it very brief, we are currently discussing with county administration when we'll be able to move to the next phase. So there will be word coming out about that very soon. That we began curbside on May 18th. That has gone well so far, and we resumed it again today. So that has gone well so far, has been very popular, very well received. And we are still doing cards for borrowers who maybe didn't have a card before all this went down. We are allowing them to register online, then they just call the library and we give them a permanent number and they can pick up their regular card when, we are able to reopen. But the biggest thing, obviously, that we're doing right now, other than curbside, is planning for our reopening. Myself and my assistant, Sue Andrus, will be going to every branch and making sure that they have, everything lined up as far as signage, their PPE or personal protective equipment, and, any markings, anything that they need, any plexiglass that they need, will be going around and selling all that branch by branch, starting either later this week or early next week. So we'll be going around, but that's our biggest project. I mean, we've been doing a lot of projects in the library while we've been closed. We have kept up all of our online stuff, and we've ordered a lot more ebooks, as you saw in the background information. Ebook usage is up huge, so we do have some really good things that are happening on a lot of our electronic databases and that kind of stuff. And then as far as being able to, do anything for the public, that's in the next phase. I will also say that we had a great summer reading program planned, and of course that's all going to have to move online now. There will be no live programs for summer reading this year in the library. However, we are doing summer reading. We will still have prizes. We already have mailed out and have available on our website the reading log, so people can go ahead and get signed up for summer reading and read certain number of minutes, and 20 minutes a day, I believe, is the goal. And for those people who've done that, then there'll be a chance to still get in drawing for prizes. We are still going to have a weekly online story time. We will also have a couple of nicer, more well-produced online programs. We have still got a couple of performers lined up to do online programs, so we will still have that, but
Great.
Otherwise, everything is online. There will be no live programs for the kids this year. We are still exploring with the school district whether we can be a summer feeding site again. Even if we're not open yet, they could do it outside. We haven't been able to make the final contact with the school district. I think our youth services librarian sent information out about that before, and also got a phone call in, but I don't think we've gotten a final response from them yet where the sites are going to be. But we are attempting to be summer feeding sites for the students again this year, and
That's a good thing.
pretty much what we, in addition to a lot of individual projects, webinars, we've done, about 2 months worth of what I would call in-service. So, we have a lot of individual hours tracked and everything, and when we go to do our state survey this year, depending on how the state library allows us to do that, we probably have, 1,000% more training hours than what we've had in the past. Of course, budget is a big question. We think right now that the local budget will not be badly hit. We also think that the state budget, they've done a continuing resolution, obviously, so they won't do the final budget until later in the year. But at least in the House and Senate versions that were there, but right before they, did all this, our state aid should be in pretty good shape too. So now that's this year. I mean, next fiscal year, who knows? But this year we're in pretty good shape.
Will state aid be roughly what it was last year, or do I need to get out the mac and cheese again?
We do not anticipate a decrease. I don't know if we'll get our increase. Actually, in one version, I think with the House, it had gone to 225, and then the Senate version, maybe at 250. But by the time they do all the deliberation, we'd like to think that we'll at least get the quarter per capita increase, but that's not certain.
Maybe they'll split the difference.
So that's not certain, but.
And so there's no fines yet, right? We're not doing any fines for overdue books?
We will probably be fine-free until the end of June is what we're looking at right now. We haven't been collecting fines since March. And we've just kind of, we've made everything due pretty much, I think, at the end of June, just to get us through this period where it was curbside and then not knowing exactly when we would open and then being open and that kind of thing. So I think right now we have everything in our system set to be due at the end of June. And then once we know what that's gonna look like at the end of June, then it'll be whether we go back to, collecting the fines on the things that we do. Remember, we still don't collect fines on any children's items anymore, the E and J collections. But we may go back to our regular fine system after beginning of July, but at least through July 6th, that gets us through that holiday week.
Yeah.
We will probably not be, assessing any fines. And anything that managed to sneak through right after we closed or during the period we were closed, obviously we're taking care of. So we basically will be fine-free till the end of June at least.
Great. Great. Okay, so old business, there's the Nettles Trust money. Any update on that? Anything happening or anything we ought to know about?
In addition to the, some of the things that we want to do in the branches, and there is some activity on that, we did go ahead and purchase smart boards. I had sent out to you all before that we were going to purchase smart boards. We did purchase 2 smart boards for the Seneca and Walhalla branches. And they've actually been using those even before we've been open to the public. They've been using those for webinars and staff training and everything. We're kind of working through them and seeing how they work and that kind of thing. And they so far have been a great tool for the staff. It pretty much takes the place of our old projectors and any other old equipment like that we had in our meeting rooms. So eventually, when we're able to allow meetings in the meeting rooms again, we also may be able to make them available to some folks to be able to use for their meetings, for PowerPoints and that kind of thing. But right now, it's all staff use, of course, but they look like they're going to be very useful. They're nice 65-inch smart boards that have a computer built in. You can also write on them like you would a smart board, and then you can even save that or combine. Like you can pull up a web page and then have it move over to the smart board and be able to mark on the web page the things that you're interested in. So that was around, I think, $11,000 for 2 of them. Got a pretty good deal on those. And we are starting to look at the service desk in Walhalla. Since we're hoping the whole cost of the service desk in Seneca will be covered by this generous donation for Betty DeBose, that may not be an expense that ends up coming out of the Nettles money, which will be nice in that it'll free up more money for other projects. We are still looking at the service desk in Walhalla, and that will come from Nettles money. The renovation or the refinishing of the service desk in Salem, because it's actually okay, it just needs a new finish, and then carpeting in Salem. With everything being put on hold because of the coronavirus pandemic, we were supposed to have somebody come from one of the state contractors to look at the carpeting for the Salem branch, but of course that's all been put on hold. So eventually we will also do carpeting in the Salem branch as well.
Okay, great. The staff parking lot.
There is news on that. We have talked with, I have had another discussion with Kyle Reed, who's the head of roads and bridges for the county. The main sticking point for putting the entrance on Chestnut Street was line of sight. There's about 4 or 5 oak trees going down Chestnut Street that the city of Walhalla does not want to have cut down. DOT says they have to go because that's your line of sight to, exit out of the parking area onto Chestnut Street. They did not want to put the exit for the parking on Westview Street because of issues with drainage. But now, since Walhalla really doesn't want to budge on the trees, the Roads and Bridges folks have gone back to the South Carolina Department of Transportation to see if they would be willing to let us put the cut-in on Westview, and that's kind of where it stands right now.
So Westview is between the library
That's
and
between the library and the lot. That kind of goes behind the library where the loading dock is. Westview is that street, and then Chestnut is what crosses South Broad, and then Westview, and then down to Tyree Malden.
And I know I brought this up last time, but, and this is something that the staff at Walhalla feels like that they need the staff parking lot for security reasons.
Well, and it'll also free up, at any one time, there's probably 12, 13, we have a total staff of probably about 18, 19 that work in the Walhalla branch, and then, not all there at one time. But that would free up usually 12, 13 spaces in the main parking area then for, if we can get back to having programs and things, that'll free up more public spaces, because with the library being otherwise landlocked, the only place we would ever have for expanding and parking would be this new lot that the county purchased for us. So, the county is still interested in seeing it done and grading it off and putting gravel down and stuff, but it's just a matter of getting through all the various agencies that have some, oversight over it. So, City of Walhalla, Department of Transportation, and it's kind of like a tennis ball going back and forth between them concerning the, line of sight on Chestnut or drainage issues on Westview. So,
It's gonna have a stop sign, right? I mean, or not? I mean, it wouldn't have a stop sign coming out of it. Seems like, couldn't you get away from this line of sight issue and having to cut down the trees if you had a stop sign where you had to, I mean, can you just not see?
There's already a stop sign there, but there's, the trees will, if DOT says the trees have to go, then,
Then they have to go.
yeah, they have.
yeah, the
Yeah,
problem
I
is
can't
as
picture the
you're on the lot, and then if you go to exit the lot, if you need to look left down Chestnut for anybody coming up Chestnut towards Maine, those trees are right in the way.
I just know, the county has that whole railroad right of way that runs all the way through. I know they're planning to do some things with the trail there, but, it just seems like to me that, maybe it makes sense to, if we're having an issue with, the city of Walhalla not wanting to remove the trees, drainage issues there, maybe it would be exploring, talking to them about getting some of that property that the county already owns.
Yeah, that, and the property across Chestnut from our lot, I don't.
Well, everything from the library, that's why all those buildings are in that, because it's an old railroad right away that runs through there. And the county owns all that, so it might be that,
You're thinking in front of that White House, kind of in that
well,
lot?
I
in
wouldn't
front
want to
of
do it,
the-
necessarily in front of his house, but,
Yeah.
essentially that whole right of way. Where the cemetery is, they own that over there. I know that's a little bit further away, but it's a staff parking lot. We could do it there. There's not houses nearby. And, I know that the city would probably want to put that lot back on the tax books. And, if we're having an issue with encroachments, that might be something to at least explore.
Would there be an option for making Chestnut like a one-way street so that anybody?
It's a state road, so.
It's a state road.
It would have to go through the state DOT. And I would say.
That would be a mess.
That would be a mess, but, that's just, I think it's a great idea to have the park in there. I just, wanted to get it going.
Yeah, this is
I just
going into
understand
2
about
years now.
Walhalla and the oak trees.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to see our beautiful oak trees
Yeah.
gone.
That's one of the
That's,
iconic streets there in town.
yeah, that's really, but, if that road could be made one way so that anybody turning onto it or off of it wouldn't have to, if it could be made one way going in a direction, that there would be no traffic coming from the oak trees.
Well, but the people that live there, that seems, I don't know.
There's only two or three houses on that street total.
You wouldn't think the traffic's ever gonna be that bad, but.
It's probably never, but all the roads in town are pretty much state roads, because kept the city from maintaining it, so it makes it hard to do any kind of road changes there. But that sounds great, that at least we're making some progress on it.
Yeah, like I said, Kyle Reed is actually still talking with our whatever regional person for Department of Transportation. So when I have, something back from him concrete about what their next step is, if they're gonna be okay with a cut-in on Westview, or whatever, given the issue with the Chestnut Street. That's, I think, where they wanted it, because then there wasn't gonna be as much of a drainage issue, water going down, draining down Westview. But, we'll have to see what they tell Kyle,
Could I make a motion that we possibly explore too, the possibility of using some of the alternative property for that, as just an option there, if we come back and there's issues with the drainage there, because it seems like that the library needs it, and I would hate to see those trees go or anything like that for our
Yeah.
park.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I second the motion.
The county has purchased that property though, right? For the use of the parking lot, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
believe so, yes.
Sure. It doesn't seem like it could hurt for you to look at alternatives.
I vote in favor. Aye.
Yeah. Me too.
Aye?
Sure.
Okay. The people on the phone, do they vote in favor, or?
They still do.
Okay,
This is
you made the
Lisa.
motion.
Please tell me
Who
what the
seconded it?
motion was again.
I did.
Can you repeat that?
Repeat the motion. What was the motion?
What was the motion?
To explore the possibility of the easement property for a parking lot, and if we have problems with this lot.
Okay. I'll agree. I'll approve that. Look for that.
It can't hurt to look into it.
What
Just
was your
an
name?
exploratory.
This is Elisa Sutton.
And then Allison and Lisa, if you're still there.
Yeah, this is Allison. I also agree.
And Lisa? Did we lose her?
We lost somebody. Yeah, we lost.
Okay, but that's still a quorum. That's still 5 voting affirmative.
Just to look into alternatives, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, just to
Nothing's
look
gonna
in,
happen
not,
at that point.
but in case there's issues with the county on that.
Okay. So we have new business up next. Changes to the library organizational chart. When I looked at this, the only thing that I saw that was different was the courier had been moved. And I double checked it.
It was hard to tell. I wasn't
Yeah.
printing mine out. I couldn't really tell the changes.
Okay,
Yeah.
the 2 changes that we're asking to make, the one change is that the courier will move from being under the Walhalla branch, which was kind of a quirk or a mistake of an old org chart, and will go under administration. Since courier serves all the branches, it makes sense that the Walhalla staff doesn't feel responsible for. I think there was some concern at times if our courier was at another branch doing things, Walhalla felt like, well, okay, we don't know where he is, we don't know what's going on, but I mean, he services all branches and including the school district. So the main reason for moving courier under administration was that the Walhalla branch won't feel responsible for courier. Since that person serves the whole system. The other move was simply moving one of the part-time circulation assistant positions out of technical services and under the Walhalla manager. The reason for doing that is because some of the changes that we've had to technical services, in addition to the person who was incumbent in that position, Claire Giordano, she is no longer with us. After she had some personal health issues and all, she will not be returning to the library. And so she had been with us for a long time, and what we want to do then is convert that position to where they can assist with technical services, but technical services really doesn't need the 22 and a half hours or whatever of a full part-time position anymore. And we wanted to go ahead and move that under the Walhalla manager so that they're more available for circulation and other things. They'll probably still help out if it's very busy in technical services, helping to process some of the books, but we don't need somebody there the full 22 and a half or 25 hours a week. So we want to move this position under Walhalla so that they'll be more available for being on the circulation desk and be available for other duties. And then the courier, again, as I mentioned, that simply moves that, kind of corrects a problem with the old org chart and moves that person so that they really answer to the whole system and not just to one branch.
Well, I just kind of have always wondered about the courier. How does that work? If there's enough stuff that accumulates, the courier goes to one branch and then takes it to different
No,
branches?
we run courier to every one of our branches 5 days a week. And also, there was kind of a deal worked out several years ago where our courier also services the northern part of the school district. So in addition to running to every library branch every day, 5 days a week, our courier also services 4 schools. Walhalla High School, Kiwi Elementary, Tomasi Salem Elementary, and I'm missing one. Anyway, but for the northern schools so that the school courier doesn't have to go far up in the north and then run all the way down to Seneca and all that kind of thing too. So occasionally, if there is mail, we also serve High Falls County Park, because that's right there on 130 also. So in addition to, our four library branches every day, 5 days a week, he also does this other part of the route, which helps out the county and the school district. That's how we were able to get him moved from a part-time position to a full-time position, because then we had a lot more for him to do. And so,
And is it a county vehicle that he drives?
yeah, well, the library van, I mean, it's a county registered vehicle, but we actually have 2 library vans now. We got a newer one to replace an old 1999 model. It's a 2016 Ford Transit van. And then we still have the 2012 Chrysler van, or Dodge van that he drives. And of course, our bookmobile, and they're all stored down in the garage. But yeah, he has a regular library vehicle that he runs, 5 days a week to the schools, to High Falls, and to all the libraries. And at any one time, he's moving 2 or 3 bins to every branch, and then the larger ones, he probably moves about 8 a day to our Seneca branch, and brings about 8 a day back at least to the Walhalla branch. So we're moving,
Wow,
and of
hope he
course,
likes driving.
even while we're closed right now, actually our courier, Joe Linderman, was back with us at the beginning of May, because once we started curbside, we have been moving a lot of materials around even though we're closed. We had 126 items on our hold list this morning at Walhalla.
Wow.
So
So
you're-
people are taking advantage of the curbside.
Are you all, as part of your curbside service or drop-off service, like Dropbox service, are you taking materials back in?
Our book drops have been open since May 4th. We are quarantining the items for 72 hours in our meeting rooms, and then they go back into circulation.
And if you want, I was gonna return a literacy kit, but it won't fit in there, so I guess just keep it out, right?
Just
Yeah.
nothing is due now till the end of June. Just hang on to that one, and then once we're able to reopen, we'll start taking those items back in. But yeah, right now, since those, like that and some of the other bigger things, we don't want launch pads in the book drop, because then they drop books on it and stuff. So
Yeah.
anything like launch pads, literacy kits, that kind of thing, yeah, we're just encouraging everybody to keep until we reopen, open the doors, and then those items can be returned. Won't have any fines on them. And then right now, we are taking books, DVDs, and audiobooks in through the book drops. They are subject to the quarantine, and then they go back into circulation.
Great. I don't see any problem with the changes. I make a motion that we approve the changes.
I second.
You second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And the people on the
Hi,
phone?
this is Allison.
Allison said aye.
Uh-huh.
Hi,
And-
Elisa.
Elisa Sutter said aye.
Okay. So the changes to the organization chart are good. Automatic renewals, is that for is that going to be a new permanent change?
It is. I had this on the agenda actually before, in our March meeting, and given that there are some financial impact or implications to it in terms of that it, at least for the initial period, would probably reduce our fine income, it may be something that with budget concerns and everything, we need to hold off on. Also, we still do not have our technical services librarian. She was actually supposed to onboard the week everything happened. She was actually supposed to start onboarding and going through her final HR processes the week we had to shut down. She had a flight scheduled to get up here even, and then that got canceled. So we have been told that the place that does the screening for the county is starting to take appointments again. So I've talked to her to try to get her up here and figure out when, if she's coming in from out of state. We've talked to her about when she'll be able to get up here to complete the hiring process. But we will hopefully have our new technical services librarian. Once she's on board, then this is something we're probably going to want to come back to. But combination of the fact that this is also the person that handles a lot of our technical things in terms of all the settings and procedures and everything for automatic renewals, and the fact that it does have some financial implications, because if you're automatic renewing, there's no fines on some things and whatever, which eventually we want to work to. I mean, it'd be great for me if we were fine-free, but I mean, there still is an expectation that we will bring some fine money in, and that's okay too. But, so for right now, I'd like to just table, automatic renewals.
So what does that mean?
Well, basically, if we set it to automatic renewal, like right now, you get up to 3 renewals on an item. But you have to initiate that. You either do it online or you call us or, whatever, and then we'll renew it for you. Or you renew it when you come in. While you're there, hey, I've got 5 other things on my record, I'd like to just renew them. If we set up automatic renewals, the system will automatically do it those 3 times for you without your intervention or without staff intervention. Which is good, and the system can do that. It has not always been available to us. It really only became available to us, I think it was last year, or earlier this year with a system upgrade, a system change. Our ILS or integrated library system didn't have that capability before. It recently got that capability. We use the Library Corporation as our ILS, recently got that capability, and we'd like to add it, but it probably does require some more discussion. Plus, it would be better when we have, our technical services librarian that will be the one that also handles all the computer and technical side of our operating system. Also, it'd be better when we have her on board, so.
Well, and that wouldn't be in effect if someone requested a book, is that right? I mean, if someone wanted a book.
And then also, if
automatically-
there's a request on that item, then it won't automatically renew.
Right, okay.
If you have a book and somebody else has a request on it, then it would not automatically renew. It's only set to do it if there's no request on that item for up to the 3 renewals, and then it'll send a message that says, hey, you have to bring this back to the library. And you can get it out again if you want and nobody has requested it, but, it would automatically renew for those 2 other times. You get 3 renewals.
Yeah, and what would happen basically is if it's automatically renewing, and then we wouldn't get any of the funds that might occur in the interim. Like, if between renewal number 1 and renewal number two, you had 5 items and they were overdue by 5 days, then we wouldn't get that money
Right.
in terms of fine income. And,
Which it is a great customer service
yeah,
thing and tool, and we want to eventually do it. It's just that, given especially the current situation with, us being closed and budget issues and that kind of thing, it is probably something that maybe we should put off. But
And what are fines right now for a book? What are the,
books, 10 cents a day, up to a $2 maximum.
so
It's,
they're really not bringing in that much?
no,
Yeah,
it's 50 cents a day for videos, up to a $3 maximum on our DVDs.
yeah.
Audio books and regular paper books are 10 cents a day with a $2 maximum.
Well, I make a motion that we table this until we can
yeah,
get a library, get
I
the
second
funding.
that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And the people on the phone? Say,
Elisa.
Hi from Allison.
I from Allison.
uh-huh,
I from Elisa.
I from Elisa.
all righty, great.
And what's the new person's name, the technical librarian that's coming, technical services?
Well, we don't, I'd really rather not say, because it's,
Uh-huh.
the hiring process isn't complete yet, like
Okay.
the formal offer hasn't been extended. Because while we've been through the interview process and that kind of thing, there still is the physical and screen to go through. So I'd really rather not put that out there
Yeah.
at the moment. She is still interested. I've heard from her as recently as last Thursday, Friday. She still is interested in coming. Now, knowing that we can schedule appointments for these screens again, she's gonna try and see when she can get a flight to get up here,
Where is she coming from?
Florida.
Florida.
So hopefully we can get that done soon, and then I'll send out to the board, who she is
Great.
and what date she intends, what date we can hopefully get her to start.
Good.
Wonderful.
Great. And an update about COVID-19.
Okay, very briefly, you have in your background with some of the things that we've been doing while we're closed. We did start curbside, as I mentioned during the director's report. That started on May 18th. It's been very popular, very successful. We've had some very good comments about it. We've had some publicity in the paper. While we were closed, we put a couple of ads in the paper about all the different services and all that we did still have, for online and that kind of thing, as well as a couple of little bingo cards. So when we are able to reopen, hopefully we'll get those back. I do know that Pickens and Anderson counties are opening June 1st. Ours will be a little bit behind that, but we are really, really close to having a day. I anticipate sometime mid-June is when we'll be able to open to the public. And what we're looking at right now is probably weekday hours, 10 to 4, Monday through Friday. And we want, staff will still come in at 8:30, but that 8:30 to 10, normally we would open at 9, but that 8:30 to 10 will give us an extra hour for cleaning, pulling all the holes. We will continue curbside service even once we're open. If there are people that aren't comfortable coming into the libraries, we will continue curbside service. So we need extra staff for that, and also initially, we probably will not have later evening and weekend hours. Once we see how it goes, if hopefully we get into July, August, and we also see what the schools are gonna do, that might dictate whether or not we try to add some evening and weekend hours. Also kind of see, like, once we start getting people in again, hopefully we won't get any staff sick, and then there'll be, some attrition there where we don't have all the full staff that we need. We did ask staff to come be all back in the buildings today, May 26th. So we do have just about all of our staff back now. And then, like I said, we're hoping by mid-June. I'll have final confirmation on that hopefully in the next day or two.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you have any physical changes or alterations that you're making to ensure the safety? Like, every time you go to a drive-through at a Burger King or anything like that now, there's always a big piece of plastic and you get handed your food through a little slot.
Not all of the actual physical work has been done yet, but we do have plans in place. We are anticipating at our Salem branch, because it is a lot smaller, we will definitely have plexiglass there. Some of our larger branches, we're planning on putting a table in front of the desk, and even putting the hand scanners down on the table, so that basically the patron scans their own items, and then we just look on the computer to make sure it all got scanned, let them have their receipt and they go. So in the larger branches, we're kind of still determining whether we want to have the additional level of protection with the sneeze guards, or whether they'll be necessary, whether that be an unnecessary expense. But we are also, of course, we will have the floors marked out for social distancing. We will have the floors marked out for hopefully traffic flow. Some of it obviously is dictated by the architecture in our branches, but we will have that marked out for traffic flow. And then all the staff will be wearing masks.
Patrons?
We will strongly encourage. I was advised by the county attorney that we cannot require. We cannot require.
Did he have how to put this? Did he say why we can't require? Because, like, for example, no shoes, no shirt, no service?
I agree with that, but, his opinion was that it would be difficult to enforce unless we get a county or state ordinance that in all public buildings, masks have to be worn. Otherwise, he felt like it was going to be difficult to enforce. I can go back to him on that, but I spoke to him about that very thing recently. I said, can we require it? He said, you can obviously require staff because that's a condition of them working there and things, but he didn't feel like we could require public. We can strongly encourage it, and we will, but he didn't feel like we could require it.
Will it be possible to perhaps provide masks to people when they come? If they don't have their mask with them, we can say, hey, here's a mask.
I'm not sure on that, only because of availability. We're still, as of earlier today, all the directors in the state did have a conference call, and it is becoming easier to get. One of the directors, I believe it was Darlington County, was able to order about 250. If we can get our hands on it and it's reasonable, we could offer them either for sale, and then if somebody couldn't buy one for 50 cents or $1, we could make sure they get one. Just to, again, kind of, enforce that idea that we're really strongly encouraging you to do this. In fact, we'll even get you one. But we haven't crossed that bridge yet. That's definitely an idea, though, that, some of the other libraries are looking at.
Okay. For staff, now, there would be a mask like this or one of the little surgical mask type deals, but would staff have the option of purchasing and wearing their own N95 masks?
They can if they can find them. I mean, we wouldn't be able to supply that for them. What the library
Right.
is going to supply are the paper surgical masks, and then we also have a couple of people in the library whose relatives are making cloth masks for everybody as well. And I think the one model that they're making does have a place for like a filter, like you could put a coffee filter or something in there. But I mean, if you can get a hold of N95, but I mean, that has been pretty hard to get, and you know, people trying to reserve those for healthcare workers. So I mean, if they
Yeah.
can get them, that's great. We wouldn't discourage them. But what we will say is you at least do have to have, you know, the cloth mask or the paper ear loop mask.
Because what I'm concerned about is that these masks protect, for example, you know, me from infecting somebody else, but they really don't do anything in terms of protecting me from when somebody else comes up and, you know, maybe
Right.
sneezes or anything.
Well, that's
And-
why it'll be in conjunction with, like, even with us doing curbside service, it's been as contactless as possible. What we've been doing is simply setting the items out on a table and going back inside, and the person calls us and says, okay, I'm here. We check out their items, we set them outside, we come back in the door, and then they walk up to the table and get them. So we really haven't even been having contact with the patrons up to this point. And the same thing, if we can do enough other mitigation, like leaving the table out in front of the desk so they're far enough apart, or the sneeze guards, then, you know, what we know we can get a hold of, which is cloth masks being made for people and paper masks, we know we can ask for those. I mean, if somebody can get a hold of N95 and they feel like that protects them more, but it's not something that we feel like we can provide. It's just not available, and there's not enough of them.
Do we make the call on when the library reopens, or is that county decision?
County will make the call on the date we reopen. As far as like our hours and services and that kind of stuff, the staff actually is currently working on, like, we're considering a number of things, like how long people can be on the computers, how many people in the building at one time. We will limit the number of people in the building, at least initially. Most days, if we're not having big programs and that stuff, it's probably not a problem anyway. We're not gonna have a whole bunch of people in at one time. Maybe the first few weeks we're open, because we haven't been there in so long, we'll have more people and we'll have to count off. And then, you know, we will be eliminating most of the upholstered furniture in the library for now. All that'll get stacked in the meeting rooms. So the only thing that will be available is plastic chairs for the computer areas, and then maybe a couple of chairs in the lobby in case somebody really needs to sit down, an elderly person, or, you know, somebody who's you know, sick with something not COVID. But otherwise, we won't really have any furniture. We will be encouraging people to basically come in, get what you need, get what you need on the computer or whatever. We will have copiers and printing available, but get what you need, and then we need time to clean that computer station for the next person. We're gonna have like saran wrap that we're gonna put over the keyboards, and then we'll also clean the keyboards. So we'll take the plastic wrap off, clean the keyboard, put down a new mouse, and then, you know, the next person can go there. We'll do computers by reservation probably, either have them call in or take reservations when they come in, so we can kind of control who's back there, especially like in our Walhalla branch where the computers are so far away from the desk. We'll also have somebody sitting back there so that when somebody gets up from that station can be cleaned. And then, you know, at some of our smaller branches, they can do that right there from the desk. But, you know, like at our Walhalla branch, because the distance is so far to the back, we'll actually have somebody sitting back there.
And so there's not gonna be the kids' play area right now that won't really be open?
Yeah, I mean, once we allow access to the children's area, all the manipulatives, any of the toys or any of that kind of stuff, train tables and stuff, that's all gonna be stacked in the meeting rooms. We probably won't allow, you know, larger meetings until we move from, you know, whatever phase we're in now to the next phase where the governor and the CDC says you can have, you know, more than 10 people in a place. You know, then maybe we can allow meetings, but I don't see any meetings in the meeting rooms or anybody in our study rooms probably for the rest of the summer at least. And like I said, all of our summer reading programs will be virtual with no programs inside the library or inside the meeting rooms.
Well, returning to the issue of masks, just very briefly, have the staff been told that there are legal considerations regarding having the public be required to wear a mask, and that's why that's not happening?
We haven't sent out all of our plans yet.
Yeah.
We kind of wanted to get a date before we, you know, put the plan out to the staff. But certain of them, our managers and all we've already talked with, and they've been I've told them that, that's the opinion of the county attorney.
Great, because, my background. It's important to me that staff know that this isn't something that we are refraining from doing because we don't care, but
Right.
because we cannot enforce it, in the opinion
No,
of the
no, no,
county attorney.
that'll definitely be, those staff members that we have already talked, the managers and all, we have already talked about some of the plans. And I've made it clear that, we will make staff wear them, we will strongly encourage public to wear them, but the reason we're not enforcing it in the public is because,
Yeah.
the county attorney felt like that was not something we could do in absence of a state or county ordinance.
Yeah, because it's a nervous time for everybody, I think.
Right.
And the more that people know that we care about them and their outcomes, and, it's not just some sort of decision handed down from on high.
Right.
But that it's something that's been carefully.
And we'll actually be sending our total plan out to all staff here and to the board here in the next day or so. As soon as I have the actual date from county administrator, then I'll be sending that out, the full plan. You all got sort of a draft before that had the phases in it and stuff. We've updated that a little bit. That was what I sent to the county attorney, and it included some not county attorney, county administrator. It included some dates, and so as soon as I know those dates are firm, then I'll send out the amended plan to both staff and the board, and it'll have in there all these things about what we're planning on doing and all of our. And then we also, like I said, Sue Andrus and myself will be visiting each branch and going step by step. Pretty much from the time you leave the parking lot and walk up, what does the signage look like? What does the directional stuff look like? So it's clear to people, this is new, this is different, this is where I go, and this is what I do now.
That sounds wonderful.
Awesome.
Sounds like y'all
Yeah.
are really got this planned out, and
Yeah.
we're excited to see how things go.
Yeah, it definitely sounds really
Well,
good.
it's still a work in progress. There are still some things we're trying to consider, like what access will we allow to the stacks? Do we want people in the stacks? Are we only gonna allow access to certain areas? Like I said, the meeting rooms are definitely off limits until probably the fall. So no large meetings, no programs, no nothing like that. But, there are a few other things that we are still considering. And I mean, it can change from day to day. It depends on whether cases spike, what the governor says, there's all kinds of considerations there. But I mean, I feel like, because the directors have been sharing a lot of information, we're doing some of the same things that some of the other, I've got probably half a dozen of the various counties' detailed plans on my computer over at the library that I can, pull from and draw from. So many of us are doing a lot of the same things, and as somebody comes up with a new idea, it gets shared on the director's listserv. So we are everybody's trying to sort of be on the same page. It's different for every county. Some of them are actually already open. Some will be opening in early June, and then, as I say, I anticipate us by about mid-June. But, we're gonna try and do everything we can to protect the staff and protect the public as much as we can. There is gonna be a certain risk factor if you come in and you touch things that somebody else has touched, but no more so than when you go to the grocery store and you touch a can that somebody else might have touched, So, but we're still working through some of the details, but we will definitely have a plan in place that makes the county happy, that makes you folks happy, that, definitely makes the staff happy.
Yeah.
You can't cover every possible,
No.
situation. We do have to get back to serving the public, but we're gonna try to do that as safely and as effectively as we possibly can.
Yay.
Something that I wonder about, or I don't guess was on the agenda, but what about the McMillan issue? It sounded like it was kind of a good thing, the COVID was good for that, because I guess, I don't know, the boycott or whatever.
COVID pretty much, I think they had looked at their sales far enough along, they were pretty much already getting ready to take away the embargo that they had in place on ebooks, but frankly, with the pandemic, you were really shooting yourself in the foot if you were only, because obviously then when libraries went to all online resources, they'd be shooting themselves in the foot to continue with that embargo in place, thinking that you're gonna make a little short-term gain. So I don't know if COVID gave them cover, or if that was what finally made the decision for them, or whatever, but yeah. the embargo did come to an end right about that same week in March that we closed down.
Okay.
All right then, is there any other matters of concern, questions, any other issues?
Not for me.
Any other issues, matters of concern?
No, ma'am.
Folks on the phone, any other issues, matters of concern?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Great. Okay, then I make a motion that we adjourn and go home.
My second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye.